Alright, good morning everybody. We're playing some Grixis Shadow today. Just a normal day playing Grixis Shadow. Except I decided we're gonna play without Lurrus today. I think it's time to imagine what life would be like if Lurrus were banned, how we might build the deck. I've been struggling with this for a little while. As you guys know, we've been talking about this a lot on stream. That there's just so many ways to build Grixis Shadow. The easiest is just taking Lurrus out, slapping a Giganta in there, and then laughing all the way to the bank. That being said, I think that, I am more interested in starting off with the more dynamic cards, the cards that you really couldn't play with in this shell before. The big ones, of course, being Street Wraith and Murktide Regent. And the more and more I stared at the deck, the more I came to the conclusion that it was not possible to keep Dragon Rage's Channeler and Bauble and Street Wraith and Murktide. There's just not room in the deck and still having the density of interaction you need. I also think that you're too threat heavy if you're going to play Shadow, Ragavan, DRC, Murktide. I think that's too many threats. So I think that if you're going to be adding a new threat in Murktide Regent, cutting a threat in Channeler makes sense. That's not to say Channeler is a bad card, the archetype. Far from it. It's one of the better cards, absolutely. But I think that this, if we're going to play Murktide Regent, which is, the goal here, I think this is probably close to how you have to build it. Obviously, there's still some flex spots. You don't necessarily have to play the first Kroxa. I'm pretty interested in playing it, though, where, that way you get some value from delving the Street Wraiths, where Murktide delving Street Wraith isn't that good. I am playing a couple Kolaghans command in the main deck. I'm playing the 19th land. I don't think you have to play the 19th land, necessarily. But without Channeler Bauble, I think it makes a little more sense. Sideboard's a little bit of a flex spot, but, try out Kaito kind of instead of Turok as your, anti-blue-white card, since it's possible that with Murktide Regent, you're going to have a harder time doing triple black. You got the Fiery Islet now, too, but Turok's maybe so castable. Prime with the 19 months, and then Imperium. Thank you for the Twitch Prime. Appreciate you guys. Okay, let's go ahead and play some games. I do think that there's a good chance we may do a little bit of tweaking and tuning as we go. A lot of mulligans, huh? Think red-white prowess list wants Bedlam Reveler. My red-white prowess? I don't think I've been playing red-white prowess. Probably confusing me with Minguchi, which is a little flattering. I do think Bedlam Reveler is probably a good option in prowess, yeah. I think most prowess lists will want the first copy of Bedlam Reveler. Before Lurrus was printed, you would see prowess lists without the Bedlam Reveler pretty often. It always confused me because it always felt like the first copy of Reveler was pretty free. And I think you might see some mono red lists playing 2 or 3 Revelers. You might see some red-white prowess lists playing 2 or 3 Revelers, and you might see some blue-red prowess lists playing 4 iteration 1 Reveler. It's kind of what I predict. Have I seen the red-white blitz list with the Ground Rift? I have, yeah. I think that the Ground Rift is kind of a trap, to be honest, but it is very cool, also. Think Liliana Last Hope is viable again? Not really. Liliana Last Hope is not good in the matchup, I think. I said elves. I wish it was. I really like Liliana the Last Hope. But I'm not currently under the impression that it's any good. I hope they have a bolt and I can get him with the Street Wraith. Hammer? No, Liliana the Last Hope is not good against Hammer. It is very, very slow. They don't have that many 1 toughness creatures. If you're killing Esper Sentinel, they get to draw a card. They're probably killing you too if you're tapping out for it. Is someone's in a prowess list? No. We were just kind of talking about the ideas behind it. Oh, I think that was a Naya prowess list, Grouchy. Right, because wasn't I splashing for scale up Become Immense? Bolt, me. Too bad. Okay, I might ignore this Renin 6. I felt Liliana. I've been casting some Lilianas. She's been fine. So the thing about Liliana is it's like Liliana the Veil and Lust do really different things. Where Liliana the Veil against combo big mana and control does a pretty good job game 1 of pressuring your opponent's hand and then threatening to ultimate after a few turns of disruption. Which has always been a pretty important element for these red-black X decks to have access to, that disruption. That being said, you have other effects like that now with Kroxa and Turok, but maybe they play well with Liliana. That's been my experience so far that they do. But yeah, that's why I like Liliana, is like that disruptive element in those matchups. But is Liliana going to be seeing any play, or like is Liliana like mandatory for these archetypes? I don't know, but she has been good so far in my testing and filling that specific role. Okay, so my opponent's dead to removal spell. Draw just a Fiery Islet. Okay, at least we get to dash the monkey. GF, thank you for 17 months. Appreciate ya. Yeah, Murktide, best creature in the game, huh? Let's get their chump block. Probably not going to get to cast that remand. We already did to a lightning bolt plus the ping, unfortunately, too. Panda with the 2-pack. I'm assuming for an Esper Shadow deck tag. I tried Grixis, Murktide, no shadows. I have, yeah. Not super recently, but I think for the most part you should just play blue red Murktide. You're like you're a little too lost in the sauce with that build. A bit too lost in the sauce. So am I bolting the token? I'm trying to think if there's a removal spell that kills Ragavan that doesn't kill Shadow. Yeah, I think it was bolt the token. Think Grixis Shadow will go towards the Murktide inclusion? Well, we'll see. It's very early to tell. Like we've been talking about this all week, right? It's just like there's really no shortage of ways to build this deck. There's just no shortage of ways to build the Grixis Shadow deck, and all of them seem pretty reasonable. I think I like Voidwalker in this matchup. All of them seem pretty reasonable, but none of them seem like the clear. I'll play Terminate too. The clear best way to play the deck. It's like you can play DRC Bobble, you can play Murktide, you can play no Murktide, you can play no Street Wraith, Giganta, Gurmag Angler. You can play Mardu Shadow, you can play Jund Shadow, you can maybe play a 4-color version. There's just like a lot to explore here. Alright, so Esper Shadow. I don't like March of Otherworldly Light and Shadow. I think like Shadow's not about just answering every permanent. It's about being as mana efficient as you can be. So I'd like to see Fatal Push over March and Esper Shadow. Might like to see a third giver. Maybe not. It's kind of close. It's probably fine to start with 2. I don't know why you have Disdainful Stroke of the sideboard. You could just play Dovin's Veto or Counterspell. It's good, or Aether Gust or Ashiok or just like literally any other card. Like I would probably like to see like a sideboard package of the 3rd copy of Unearth and 4 Fulminator Mage, because I think that is the best sideboard plan for these decks against the big mana strategies. Go lead on the Watery Grave. Yeah, I think I'd like to see you cut the Disdainful Strokes, the Spreading Seas. Maybe cut the Kai's Guile and play 4 Fulminator Mage and the third Unearth as like a sideboard plan for those matchups. The Kataki is fine. The explosives are fine, but certainly not mandatory. I think there's no card in Modern that lost more stock in my mind than Engineered Explosives. Well, the Ragavan's not doing too much here in the face of the crab, so I actually kind of hope that my opponent just Prismatic Endings it. Alright, I think those are my thoughts. Seems like a good first... Oh, you're playing 23 lands? That's high, actually. I would play at least 20, like most 22, I think. Oh, you're not playing any Street Wraith. Okay, yeah, I mean, I would be on like 21, 22 lands for Street Wraiths. And maybe you go down like just one Fatal Push, 2-1 Fatal Push, or maybe you play like only 2 Turok. 1 or 2 Turok. How's Chalice in the Lurrus meta? It's a lot worse. Definitely a lot worse. Like it used to be, like you'd have a Chalice of the Void in your opening hand. So, Bolt the Crab. You used to have a Chalice of the Void in your opening hand, right? And you'd be able to go like, okay, good. I know that my Chalice is gonna be good because I see a Lurrus on this other side of the table, and that is not the case anymore. Thoughts in TBR over Dress Down the main? Dress Down's a lot better. I don't know, man. It's just like, we were talking about this before, but TBR has one mode. Give your creature double strike trample. Dress Down is so crazy versatile, where it interacts with a ton of your opponent's creatures, Primeval Titan, Urza Saga tokens, any creature with an ETB trigger, you're gonna get some value from. Huh. Yeah, I'll play Ridden 6. And it's also like, it lets you, it's a better pump spell early for Shadow, worse pump spell late, but it also cycles, which is huge. And it's just like, it's just so hard for so many decks to play around. And it's like, yeah, it's like, I know that TBR works a little bit better with Murktide than Dress Down. It does work better with Murktide than Dress Down does, but that doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's better than Dress Down again. Dress Down is just the truth, I think. And I like Temur Battle Rage as much as the next guy, don't get me wrong. TBR is one mode is very often in the game. Well, here's the thing about Temur Battle Rage 2. That it's very, next something for the 11 months, appreciate you, buddy. It's really common, I think, for people to overvalue cards like Temur Battle Rage, where the mode is win the game. That like whenever you're casting it, you're winning the game most of the time. But you know what card also wins you the game every time you cast it? Expansion Explosion. You know what card also wins the game every single time you cast it? Hull Breacher Horror. There's kind of like no shortage to cards that are only good when you're winning the game, but these are cards that are really bad when you're behind, or sometimes when you're even on board. Cards that are going to be terrible top decks in the early game too, because they don't allow you to flesh out your early game plan. And it's also true, a huge chunk of the games where you're winning the game by casting a Temur Battle Rage, you would be winning that game anyways. You would be winning that game anyways because you're ahead on board and you're attacking with a big shadow, you know? So I think it's really, really common for players to overvalue cards like TBR because every time they cast it, it looks so good, but they forget about the times it's just rotting in the hand too, you know? And I'm not saying that the card is bad, like, you know, and it's also like, you know, one reality that Shadow players have to accept now that there's not a clear best way to build a deck is that there are a lot of cards like Temur Battle Rage, like Tarmogoyf, like Bauble, Street Wraith, Unholy Heat, Royal Scions. There are a ton of cards that are good in the deck, a ton of cards that are like, you know, playable, but you know. I do not recommend playing Yorion so you can fit them all on the list. You have to make some cuts. You have to figure out what the best versions are. Like, even though Royal Scions, Temur Battle Rage, these are playable, fun cards, they're probably worse than they are worse in my opinion than other options. With Solitude is just such a nightmare for this deck, I think. Ooh, TBR Ragavan. All right, I'm sold. His Decklist is better choosing Mountain for an Isle. I fetch Mountain very often. I don't know. Like, maybe I'll fetch the mountain less now that you have the Murktide Regent. I know a lot of Shadow players hate the mountain, but I feel like I just fetch it. I have, or at least historically have fetched it enough to, like, really not be very interested in cutting it. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and it's like, you know... But sorry, I don't think you want the second Fiery Islet. I would play, I don't think you want the second Fiery Islet. I would just play, a second Blood Crypt or a third Steam Vents. I think players also typically overvalue Fiery Islet, those kind of cards too. Don't know how to feel about that one, huh? Mystic Subdual can be good if we play Pioneer Death Shadow. I don't think Death Shadow is legal in Pioneer. I guess we're trading Shadow and Ragavan for Thalia. That doesn't feel very good, but Thalia is so good against me here. I don't really have another line. Oh wait, we should just draw the bolt next turn. Stream Decker's dead. Can I show the list? I'm gonna click the Stream Decker like Da Vinci. Da Vinci. I'm clicking the link. It's not dead for me. Here's the list though. You can screenshot it. It might be dead for you. Mr. Thing with Twitch Prime, appreciate you. Yendrick, thanks for the raid, dude. I feel like I haven't heard from you in forever, man. Welcome to stream, buddy. How are you devastated by the Lurrus ban? You enjoying it? You want to share some thoughts? Would you like to engage in some fake beef with me for clout? We've been doing that lately. Haven't been streaming much recently. Yeah, I know. I'm glad to hear from you, dude. Happy overall, yeah. Yeah, I know that your pet deck, or like you just like love that Grixis deck. It was so sick. I might stream this all day, something else after. I've got several deck lists prepped. I don't know what I'm streaming next though. We'll see. We'll see. Should probably actually fetch now, just so they can't top deck an Arbiter. I love Jace more than Lurrus. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I've been liking Jace a lot lately. No Turks on the sideboard. I'm trying out Kaito over Turok on the sideboard is the idea. It's like kind of easier to cast too. That way like a little bit heavier on Murktide Regent, but I don't think that Turok is like uncastable. But I think it does make sense to me to just try Kaito instead. Just see how that is. Yeah, like a lot of this is like, you know, me trying out different ways, like more interesting ways to build the deck rather than just like the same tried and true versions. Because like these decisions like Kaito, Murktide Regent, Street Wraith, like these are just new, and I'm more interested in trying the new ways to build it. All right, have a good dinner, Yendrick. Good to hear from you, buddy. Thoughts on Ragavan and Red Prowess style decks? It's a complicated question. It's a good question. I think it's fine. Like, you know, I don't think that adding Ragavan to like these red prowess decks, I think is a totally reasonable decision. Is really not something that, you know, is going to make your deck worse most of the time. But is something that you would really just have to spend a lot of time playtesting the prowess deck without Ragavan, blue red, mono red, red white, Jeskai, like that's the problem with prowess is like to find the best version you have to spend your entire life with it. And it's also true that there are even if you can figure out a build that you think is, I guess I'm gonna just get a Squire here, even if you do figure out a build that you like, right, you find a build that you like, there are still like a lot of things in the modern format that like make prowess a much worse choice than it was. So like while I think you can easily have a winning record with the archetype, it is just not clear. It is just not clear the best way to build it, and if it like that time you could spend is maybe better spent elsewhere. Smiletron, thank you for 7 months. Appreciate you. I take like 10 mental damage whenever someone plays a Ragavan 1. I don't have an answer. How do I get out of this mindset? Well, it kind of depends on the deck you're playing, right? Like, if you're playing a all-in combo deck, that's, like, you're not ever going to have an answer on turn 1. That's okay. You just, like, take the hits from Ragavan and try to kill them. But the longer the time's gone on, the more and more I've become pretty comfortable with getting hit by Ragavan, especially, like, getting dash hit by Ragavan on turn 2. Like, that specifically has just kind of stopped to phase me, or stopped phasing me altogether. I guess I need to keep at least 3 Thoughtseize for Solitude. Maybe do like 3 Thoughtseizes, 1 Inquisition. Just like 3 Dress Down, maybe. I think 3 Murktide is better than 1 more Kroxa and Gigantic Companion. 1 more Kroxa and Gigantic Companion. Okay, well, if you're too threat light in this exact build. Like, there's too many ways to build this, but it's also like that is a way to build it. You have to cut the Street Wraiths for Giganta 2. You have to cut the Street Wraiths, the Murktides for an extra Kroxa, and then you play DRC Bauble, and you probably don't play the Kolaghan's commands too. Or maybe you play the Kolaghan's commands, maybe play 18 lands, whatever. But like at that point, you're just playing the old version of Grixis Shadow with Giganta instead of Lurrus, which is a totally viable, fine way to build the deck, but it's just not something I'm personally very interested in. I'd rather be testing the new version, like the version with like the cards that you just couldn't play before. I think I'm gonna Inquisition or Thoughtseize on turn 1. Glad you like the stream, Professor. Good job, Gio, and toxic people as well. We don't have that many toxic people here. I just like to yell. Lead an Arbiter, summoned to the hand. Well, that was a huge mistake. They really were supposed to play a pathway there, right? Guess it might not matter. They hit me for 3. I need to draw a non-fetch land so badly here. Yeah, only the streamer is toxic here. None of you guys are toxic. I take a shadow deck to Hannibird Memorial. That's my current plan. I'm currently planning on playing the Mardu Shadow list. I mean, it's just kind of hard to argue with the numbers too on that deck so far. I'm currently 17-3 with it. That's a really strong win record. Basically everything else I'm working on, like I'm not sure on the numbers. Like the red-black mid-range deck, I'm not sure on all the numbers. The Anvil deck with Engineer feels really promising, but it also feels like I will need to spend a lot more time tuning that one. And yeah, like nothing seems like as like I'm not like as confident in the build of or as confident in the numbers on like literally any other card or any other deck. First league started off okay, and then we got kind of dredged and Mold of 5 and blah, blah, blah. Gurmag and Team of Battle Rage. I think Gurmag is a viable option too. I really think that you should still be on Dress Down, but live your life. Live your life, my chatter. make the zombie fish double strike trample. I won't stop you. I'll just like look on jealously. I don't copy your decks. I do copy the style deck build and try to spare me for questions. Thank you. Well, that's cool. You can copy my decks too if you want to. But I'm glad that you're liking the style. We consider running Thoughtscar to field Murktide. I've historically really disliked cantrips in Grixis Shadow. Or like, what's so great about Shadow is like that ability to like heavily, like either discards like just 1 for 1 in the early game, and you really lose. I think on the play I should just cast the Ragavan. You really lose that ability if you're playing those cantrips early. Like back in like the old days in Grixis Shadow, like whenever your Grixis Shadow opponent went turn 1 Serum Visions, it felt like you just won the game on the spot, you know? At least that was always my experience. I just my Shadow opponent would go turn 1 Serum Visions, and I would just be like, oh, game's over. And you know, it's a bit hyperbolic, I guess, but that really was how it felt. I don't know if anybody relates or agrees, but I think if you can help, I think if you can help it, you'd want to not play it. I do like it is definitely the case. I feel so far that All right, so they don't draw land. It is the case that Murktide feels worse in this deck than a blue-red Murktide, so take that as you will. But the card is not, the card itself hasn't felt bad. Just like not as good as it is in Murktide or blue-red Murktide. Yeah, the blue-black Shadow deck is definitely pretty different. Ugh. The draws with Thalia lands pretty good. I guess we're probably playing a 4/4 Murktide this next turn. They do have Solitude. Oh, I guess we're casting that then. So I'm going to kill Giver of Runes. Do I get back a creature? Yeah, I think making them discard doesn't do very much. Let's kill the Giver, get back Street Wraith. What are some sideboard Tron answers that are non-red? Well, what colors are you looking for? give me the colors you're looking for, and then we can reassess. Blue, black, white, green. Okay, thank you. In Bance, yeah, Bance is probably the color combination with the least good answers. Spreading Seas is probably your best one for Tron. You also have access to Damping Sphere. I could just cast the Street Wraith. I got sort of Fire Ice. Yeah, Street Wraith being a black creature here is pretty good. Yeah, Beseju's fine too, yeah. I mean, Spreading Seas I think is better against Tron than Beseju. Where you get to do the same thing. You get to get a Tron. You get to remove a Tron piece from play, but with Spreading Seas, you draw a card. With Beseju, you don't. Beseju also gives them a green source. Spreading Seas gives them a blue source, which is more relevant. Like if I was gonna sideboard either Spreading Seas or Beseju, and the only thing I'm thinking about is the Tron matchup, it's actually just like kind of easy. Oh, sorry. For some reason, I thought that these would trade. They don't trade here. Yeah. Oops. Should have cycled, I guess. You just draw Kolaghan's command instead. Easy. Imagine not drawing Kolaghan's command here. Couldn't be me. So I think I'm exiling the non-instants and sorceries from the yard. What do I think about Tron? They placed really well in Chicago. People put way too much emphasis on these paper tournaments. You know, as someone who was at that tournament, like that tournament was way softer than your average Magic Online challenge. But Tron is okay, probably. Alright, opponent's hand is just a Lion Sash and now a Batter Skull. Isn't that a huge tell? I mean, it is, but like, what are they going to do about it? Like, what are they going to do with that information that my last card's Murktide? Exile the spells. I'm waiting to exile the spells next turn, so both my Murktides are 7/7s instead of having 1 7/7 and a 3/3. Cry about it. Cry about the that's my other decision. Kroxa Murktide, a little tension. We do get to get the Yorion out of the hand probably, which is nice. What turn was this? There was the energy. Oh, sorry. I thought that they put Yorion into their hand and didn't sack the canopy. Okay, never mind. Yeah, it was the energy series in Chicago. I played it this weekend. It was really fun. I also had to burn opponent, side in Deflecting Palm against my Bant control deck, you know? Like, that's not something that ever happens in, that's not ever something that happens in a modern challenge. Like, you know, there were some pretty competitive matches, and there's some that were less competitive. These paper events are just softer than Magic Online events usually. All right, what are we trying to draw here? Not bad. Softer meaning the people you play against suck. That is rude. What? I can't tell who's joking and who's not anymore, to be honest. It's just all become too meta. So you won the energy, right? Are you like actually upset? I didn't win the energy. No, I punted away my win in, like one of my second win in the top 8. I was there, so the tournament was softer. Yeah, first I teased Waffle for putting Think Twice in blue-white control. Now I accuse Paper Tournament for being softer than IRL tournaments. If I didn't literally win the event, then I'm wrong. All right, well, rocking a hard place here. Cycling Street Wraith is maybe better. Hardcasting Street Wraith, I feel like they just end up equipping and I'm chump blocking. Yeah. I played the Bant's control deck. It's also like definitely true. Like my big punt is not something that would have ever happened on Magic Online for like 2 different reasons. Where I was playing against Bant Titan or against Amulet Titan. I won game 1, but game 1 took like 25-30 minutes. And so I'm rushing as fast as I possibly can to just get into game 2, because if I lose game 2, we're drawing. And if we go to game 3, I'm drawing. And I just left my Yorion in my deck box and I didn't reveal it. And obviously on Magic Online, the games are so much faster because the shuffling just takes no time at all. And also it automatically reveals Yorion, but like that was the big punt there. Yeah, that's the big difference. Like there was so many matches where we're like, it's, you know, I game 1 is over. I've got 7 cards in hand. I've got all my planeswalkers in play. My opponent's in a position where they just can't realistically win. But like they still, the match still continues for 15-20 minutes. And there's nothing I can do to make them play faster. But on Magic Online it doesn't matter. They're just using their chess clock. I was under the impression competitive if you revealed the companion game 1 and game 2. I could maybe have called a judge if that was the case. My opponent after sideboarding said, so you did not reveal Yorion, correct? And so I assumed that was how it worked. It was probably a little bit better to call the judge. It usually is. You think Teamwork is still good? I think Teamwork's probably still fine, yeah. Is Giganta wears a companion for Grixis Shadow? It's not like that big a deal. It does make you a lot better against Blood Moon. It's kind of a nice thing. How long do Irogams last? For like 3 matches to take at least 90 minutes? Well, you like the match clock are 50 minutes. That's usually like plenty of time. I say that I struggled to finish matches on time as someone who I've never had this issue before. I've really, I feel like I've got a reputation for playing somewhat quickly, and but like I before this NRG event, I've in my entire like 6 or 7 years of grinding paper Magic, I think I've drawn like 1 or 2 matches ever. But just like it was kind of the perfect storm of playing Yorion for the first time, playing a slow control deck, and playing a team event for all the matches to go really long. Why we're running Islet and the Shadowless stuff before the ban. So my very first iterations of the Shadow deck played Islet as a 19th land. After playing a lot of the Shadow decks before, I decided to cut the Islet, thinking that with DRC Bauble, like I was pretty happy with 18 lands. Now that this list is not playing DRC Bauble, I actually think that it's better to go back up to 19 lands, and I think Islet is like the 19th land I usually like to play. Why is the team event slower? Because you're allowed to talk to your teammates and help each other with lines, and so like, you know, if your opponent takes like 2 minutes during a match to help your teammate try to figure out a line, then that is actually a huge amount of the clock. It's like, you know, 4% of your total match clock. No blocks. No, I'm okay. I'm not gonna block. I'm not gonna block. What do you think of the Reinforcement Ronin? I don't like that card at all, really. Rep to all the TBR lovers. Okay, to be fair to the Teamer Battle Rage fans, Teamer Battle Rage is actually a lot better at this matchup usually. To be totally fair to all the TBR fans. Yeah, team events are really fun, actually. Team events are my favorite way to play Magic. There was actually like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, there was like 3 like really awesome team events in a row in like the same month. It was a great month. It was like the Team PT, there was an SCG tournament, and then there was another one. I can't remember the other one. Maybe in a GP. Does Murktide get casual just on a play? It does not, no. GP Providence? I don't think I played at that one. I remember people asking me if I was going and I wasn't. How's Bantrek compared to Team Erect now? I tried it. I think Team Erect is still better. It's just like we can't keep doing this, Team Erect players. I'm sorry. We can't keep going. We just can't keep like getting a sweet new card, trying a different color combination over Team Erect, and then just going, yeah, we lost Ren in 6, so this deck is worse. You know, Ren in 6 is just way too important in Reclamation. I just like team events. Feel so bad to get carried or wreck your team's chances. Yeah, I understand that. Like, that's like a pretty common criticism, but you know, like I think that if all your teammates are on the same page and you're like, we're just here to have fun, enjoy each other's company, and do as well as we can, and you know, sometimes you get carried, sometimes I get carried. It's okay. It's Magic. I think if you go into it with that attitude, then it gets to be a lot better. Dude, they've got a Magus to the Moon. Guess you've got a Lightning Bolt in the deck, though. Think it's possible to make a Lantern of Insight deck. Yeah. How did the Dimir Shuttle feel like? I wanted to rebuild it without the main deck Voidwalkers. Was my I left playing the deck with that impression. Okay, I think I just have to have faith that either my opponent will not cast the Magus this turn, or that we'll just draw a Lightning Bolt. Better to let the Matrix 2 resolve so they don't draw the Magus. I don't know how scared of Magus I need to be. I'm super behind already, but like they got to think that there's a decent chance I've got Lightning Bolt, right? So that might be the case here. No, I'm playing 6 spot removal spells and then the drowns and the Kolaghan's commands. Yeah, I actually have more spot removal than I did. They've got 2 Maguses and a Snoop. Yeah, I guess I'll just take both of those and cast a Murktide. Can you play Obosh and Grixis Shadow be good? Not really, because it's like the main blue cards that you're wanting to play they're all even colored. Murktide, Drowned Loch, Iteration. There's not really like if you're gonna play Obosh, like there's not a reason to play to play Grixis over Mardu. We're kind of boned if they cast the Magus. And we don't draw Bolt, I guess. Oh, I thought Murktide was 8. I always think Murktide's 8. But yeah, sorry. Murktide is a card you can play with Obosh, yeah. It's possible that you could do Dimir Obosh Shadow, but I mean, just Drown of the Loch is just too good, I think, to not play. Okay, so I have to kill. Oh, whoops! I have to kill the Snoop here, or I'm dead. And then wait. And then I have to draw exactly Lightning Bolt, I think. Spike, I don't know about this basic mountain. I don't know. I feel like I get it enough that I want it. Maybe I should just put it in my... Maybe I should have just, like, kept the command up, though. Yeah, it's probably just better to, like, actually just, like, not get the land... Not get the steam vents. And then, maybe I get to eat the matron in combat. Ah! Alright, game 3. To game 3 we go. Could have floated a red before killing the Magus. What would the point of floating a red there be? So I don't need to fetch for red. Oh, I see. Yeah. No, oh, sorry, hold on. I'm trying to think, because, like, I mean, I just haven't cast the iteration yet. I guess there's a good chance I want to iteration into a red card, though. I guess that makes sense. I guess there's original floated red. Yeah, but I could have floated another red source, is what they're saying. Which is, like, I think it makes sense, because there's, like, a pretty good chance that I want to iteration into a red card. But in person in Vegas, I gave you the banana. I thought that happened in Chicago. Either way, thanks for the banana. No, Vanquish's Gargoyle's not good, unfortunately. That was the tap deck you played. I liked... So Howling Mine plus Moonsnare prototype did actually feel like something. The rest of the deck was really complicated, convoluted, and hard to evaluate. Oh, is Darcy the thing removed from deck? In my opinion, in my opinion, it's really difficult in this list to play both Channeler and Street Wraith. I think your deck is just too full of air, and like obviously, like if you're not playing Bobble, oh sorry, to play Bobble and Bobble and Street Wraith, I think your deck is just too full of air if you play both of those cards together. And with that being the case, like it is still fine to play DRC Bobble. That might be better than playing Street Wraith, but at the very least, like I'm more interested right now in building the deck this way and seeing how it is, rather than just doing what we've been doing for over a year now. But like every time I tried to build the deck, like it was like. Like if you were gonna play Street Wraith in addition to DRC Bobble, like it's just like you're cutting like your Kroxas, you're cutting your Street Wraiths, you're cutting your flex cards. you could play like 2 Street Wraiths or something, but at that point maybe you just want Giganta as a companion. And again, I do think that is a viable way to build the deck. Don't get that twisted, but if we're gonna be trying, you know, Grixis Shadow post Lurrus ban, I want to be playing with Street Wraith and Murktide Regent first to evaluate these cards and under this new lens. Yeah, Gen Shadow Traverse is fine. Mardu Obosh Shadow's been really good so far. I think I'm supposed to drown this. So I'm like tapping out for Kroxa next turn. I'm using all this mana. My life total's not that high. Down to 5. They go down to 4. DRC does play with both Murktide for what it's worth. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I know. But it's also true, like, if you play DRC, Bauble, Murktide, Shadow, I think your deck is also too threat heavy. I think that like 16, 15 threats is like a little high. Like I'm really like this supposed to be have 12, right? I feel like you want like no more than 14, but like even like 16 is way too many, and like 12 or 13 is kind of like the sweet spot in my opinion. Okay, they hit just a munitions expert here. Definitely a beatable card. Down to 3. Good draw, good draw. Let's just hold up the removal this turn. Why not play Disrespect rather than Obosh as the replacement for Temur Battle Rage? I mean, I'm 17-3 with the Obosh deck. Obosh has been really good in that deck so far. The replacement for Temur Battle Rage in that deck is Giver of Runes. Giver of Runes gives you that punch through damage effect that you're missing. It's also true in the Temur deck, like the Obosh deck. Like Temur Battle Rage is really only doing anything for you when you have Shadow in play. You do have Shadow in play a lot because of Ranger Captain, but Giver is like just a bit more flexible. Yeah, Temur Battle Rage is also like a lot worse than it used to be. You know what I mean? Like Temur Battle Rage, now that Solitude exists, now that people are playing a lot more removal than they are like, you know, just creature decks in general, the card is just not as good as it was. Okay, on the draw against Giganta, I'll try, I guess. But like before HCA, there wasn't like a really good reason to cut all the 2-drops in favor of Obosh. Again, I think you only want to build a deck in that very weird specific way if HCA is just like the nuts. If that card is just like a card you actually want to main deck 4 of in a metagame. And I expect that it will be sometimes, but not usually. Bolt to 60 months, appreciate you. I've liked Street Wraith. Street Wraith's been pretty good. But I try Hex Parasite Mardu list. I've played Hex Parasite in the past. I've always felt pretty medium about it. I don't think it's something that you really want anymore. Non-Shadow, Grixis Murktide deck, or Jeskai version. Similar versions. I mean, I just think like just play Blue-Red Murktide or Jeskai Murktide. You know, that deck's been around for a long time. That deck is still good. Hasn't changed. Is unlikely to change. Play a set of Ragavans, huh? I think I'd be pretty interested in trying to take a trade here. Esper Sentinel can't find space in Mardu Shadow. It maybe can. My issue with Esper Sentinel in Mardu Shadow, my Esper Sentinel in Mardu Shadow is that I have typically found Sentinel to just not play that well with discard spells, where Sentinel is like way better when you're like really putting a lot of pressure on your opponent, right? You're playing a lot of linear proactive threats, and your opponent has to answer your linear proactive threats that you're deploying while Sentinel is taxing their mana. But discard spells are cards that you spend mana on to not impact the board. So you spend a mana on your discard spell, you don't impact the board, so the game slows down, and your opponent has both more time to pay for Esper Sentinel, and it's also true that they have less options
as well because they've been discarded. So less time, less options usually makes Esper Sentinel worse. That being said, Esper Sentinel is still a very good card, and Thought Discard spells are also very good cards. So it's not like this tension is 100% a reason to just never play those two cards in the same deck, but it is why you usually don't see me playing Sentinel and discard spell decks. Opinion on Mono Black Invoke Despair Cabal Conference deck. It's like really fun and is terrible against a lot of decks, but can win games against some creature decks. Thanks, Simon. Okay, I definitely got a soft spot for this archetype. I was kind of thinking about the old... I'm assuming you're playing... Yeah, Gingerbread Cabin, awesome. I was kind of trying to figure out how to play the new Tezzeret in this deck to like be able to sack these tokens for 0 mana, but I kind of think that's kind of mana intensive and probably not all that good. Like Kolaghan's command, return Channeler, kill Ragavan, and then cast Shadow. Okay. I'm going to try to iteration into a fetch land and cast a bigger Shadow, and I bricked. Fuck. So probably going to lose. I like the Time Sieve. I would probably just play one Thopter Foundry and play the 4th tracker. Just have these be ward targets. Besides that, this looks pretty good. I like your decision to not play Saga. I actually like this list a lot, besides that one change. I want to change anything. I think it looks great. Maybe the archetype is still a little underpowered. That's absolutely possibly the case, but looks good. I've got 19 lands in this version. I think without DRC Bobble, you want to go up a land. Esper Sentinel is one of the best on the draw. Discard spells are pretty bad on the draw. I mean, Esper Sentinel's not bad on the draw, but Esper Sentinel is way better on the play than the draw, so I guess I'm a little confused by that evaluation. Like, that has not been my experience, that Esper Sentinel is just like this, is particularly better on the draw. You can click visual Decklist top page. You can see all the card arts on Scryfall. Well, I don't need the arts. I don't know if that's just like better viewing experience for everybody else, but not a big priority for me, to be honest. One land down. Okay, I think I have to kill the Channeler. Isn't it plus Force Street Wraith minus 1 land? No, because we cut the baubles from the deck. Like that's effectively the same thing. But it's also like cutting Channeler also like helped you find your lands too, Bauble Channeler. So it's like you lose that filtering effect, which makes you want another land in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that is my opinion. The land is also an islet too. Is DRC not where we want to be in any of the Red Black X decks? No, that's not for sure the case. Like the reality though is like, okay, so if you look at the like the Red Black lists, you know, this list used to play 4 DRC, 4 Bauble, and you still can, but in order to fit those cards in, you have to be cutting like the Voidwalkers from the main deck, and then like probably like your Lilianas, and then like you're kind of light on interaction. But you can build a deck that way. It's just like this is certainly the easiest way to fit it all together. Well, my Death Shadow is lethal. So we can go Drown Shadow, attack with both. I think that kind of puts my opponent on the back foot. Winning this game would be crazy. We were so far behind. Remember when lands was called 43 instead of lands? All right, time to go to bed, Yarvis. You're talking nonsense again. Time to go to bed, Grandpa. That was a little before my time, but I remember like commentators talking about that. Yeah. Back in my day, we used to call lands 43 because there were 43 lands in the deck. I'm not a VIP or mod. The guilt trip into be a VIP or mod. That'll probably work. Okay. Heads, Yarvis is a VIP. Tails, he's a mod. Flip a coin. Tails, mod. Get to work, Yarvis. Pick up the sword. Wow, it's that easy. Yeah, a little guilt tripping goes a long way on this channel. How are we ahead? How are we ahead? We got hit by Ragavan like 3 times. We iterations and missed our land drop. And my opponent stole a 7/7 Death Shadow. How are we ahead? What is happening? You will live. Death Shadow, you're going to live. Unreal, dude. These draws are pure gas. Are they? I've just got 2 Thoughtseizes in my hand. I mean, they're flooding out a little bit. I literally have no idea how we won this game. I can't, like, I feel like Kronk in Emperor's New Groove, where I've got the whiteboard. And I just, hold on, let me see if I can pull up the clip. This is me right now.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. If you look at all the numbers, we got hit by Ragavan a bunch. We top decked 2 Thoughtseizes late. We bricked on our iteration. But we also got the W. I don't know, man. Magic can be weird sometimes. Your guess is as good as mine. I think I'll bring in 1 Alpine Moon. I think with 4 dress down, we don't need the second moon too badly. Trim a Street Wraith. We use Kaito. We boarded it against blue-white, then draw it. It's mostly just for the control matchup, like Turok is mostly for the control matchup too. Just kind of seeing if that card feels better than Turok. It's just, you know, jury is still out. Yeah, the Fatal Push was a good draw, but my opponent's like chump blocking the Darcy. I don't know. Think you're missing your Mega Angler? I've been casting Angler in the Mardu list. Just 1 though. Why not play Lurrus? Why would you play Lurrus when you lose Street Wraith at Murktide? It's just the freaking 3/2. It costs 6 mana. If I wanted a 3/2 that cost 6 mana, I'd be playing a Kahira deck, okay? That card at least lords my Furies. What was lost to? Green-White Taxes. Best deck in the format. Oh yeah, we actually definitely lose that game if Lurrus is still legal though. If Lurrus is still legal that game, we lose that game. As a Kahira Blue player, pre firstly attacked. Why? Listen, I've won plenty of tournaments with Kahira. I've won a PTQ with Kahira. Top 80 challenges with Kahira and Legacy. Back when I used to play Legacy. What's Legacy? Good question. Yeah, Royal Science is really cool. What do I play with Kahira? Yeah, the Legacy deck was Ants. There was like a couple weeks where Lurrus was banned in Legacy, and the companion hadn't been nerfed, and it's just like, I think Kahira is actually better than 15th sideboard card, and it was pretty relevant on like your Empty the Warrens turns. It was relevant like in a lot of sideboard games where people would just side out their removal against you, and like you would be playing draw go a lot, and then all of a sudden you just be like cast a 3/2. After the companion nerf, probably not worth it, but I don't know. Let's be my Murktide Shadow, leaning for or against it. I'm not sure yet. I'll have a more formulated opinion at the end of the stream, probably. But yeah, I played a lot of. My first I played everything in Legacy. Like, there was a long period where me and my best friend would just play. We would get off work, we'd come home, and we would just play every single Legacy matchup for hours and hours to go to bed. And we did that for like a full year. And I eventually, my first Legacy deck I bought into was Miracles. Right after Splinter Twin got banned, I bought into Top Miracles. I 12-3'd. The only GP I got to play with it before it got banned. A little behind here, huh? And then I also got to play Ant at the only PT you could ever play Ant at, which was pretty exciting. Or any PT you could play Legacy. The 21st anniversary in Minneapolis. Which was a real treat. Getting to play Legacy at a PT. Not something that gets to happen that often. Okay, I think drawing this, I'm going to go Inquisition Shadow. I didn't think I was going to play the Shadow this turn. Okay, I guess now I am, and I kind of regret my life with 2 Fatal Pushes over there, but I think I still have to play it and use my mana here. What are the thoughts? Which are the tough matchup for Marty Shadow? I don't know. I just kind of keep winning with that deck, so let me get back to you. Yeah, I'll start losing and I'll get back to you. 21st? What? Test better than Ant? Banned. Right to jail. Yeah, I don't know. I just like Ant so much. For the longest time, like, we would play Ant on stream sometimes as a break because it's my favorite deck to play in Magic, and then I would just summon the Test Discord, being like, Spike, what's the tech here? Why is Ant better than Test, huh? You gotta give me the deets. And I'd just be like, I don't know, man, I just like really like to play this deck. It's not really any deeper than that. Let's go to game 3. You know how cards push. Can't like iteration into Shadow or anything. West stream any Vintage Cube before it ends? Nah, I can't. There's just too much to do in Modern. Cast something Cabal. I really don't want to. Do you miss any deck that's not playable? Yeah, plenty, but there's also like plenty of new exciting decks that are playable now. Just gotta keep moving on. So I got a message to the boys. We're all scrambling, trying to borrow cards for the Hunter Burton. Maybe I'm supposed to take the Terminate. I don't know. I think Wave seems really tough to beat. I also know about the Terminate, so I can maybe play a little bit heavier around it. Is Murktide doing good? It's kind of felt kind of medium, to be honest. The more I'm playing it, the less I'm liking it. In this, you know, specific shell. That being said, I am kind of interested in, like, giving Dimir another go. Like, I think we had the Dimir list that we were playing kind of misbuilt. So I am somewhat interested in trying that. Just see where the wind takes us. Yeah, we're only playing 3 Murktide, and yeah, it is true without consider a Thoughtscour DRC. Like, it is harder to enable the card, but it's also like, you know, I don't say it's been bad, but it has not necessarily felt better to me than other options. My opponent has a land in their hand, right? Yeah, they have. They discarded the Wooded Foothills. So their hand is Terminate 3 mystery cards. Presumably, they just discarded their land for no reason. I think Gurmag could be an option to replace Murktide. I do, yeah. Like, Gurmag being 1 mana and working better with Street Wraith is maybe a good reason to build a deck that way. Okay, I'm gonna just cycle the Dress Stud right now. I think I'm gonna get a Swamp. It's also like I think Kroxa has also just kind of felt better to me than Murktide. The times we've drawn them. I think this turn I'm gonna play my threats. I think I really like double threading here when they have a 2-mana removal spell, and then if their turn is just terminate the Murktide Regent, I've got a 4/4 Shadow with an iteration. Piano thing with 15 months, appreciate you. Are you chilling on Murky 2 have a 7/7? We know they have Terminate in their hand, so I'm waiting on like maybe a discard spell or a second threat to play. I'm just gonna 13 them. To correct that fetch there, dead to our second bolt whenever we find it. There it is, Gigantha, 2 mystery cards. Okay, we gotta push for that. I think I'm just gonna pass here. There's actually like a chance my opponent doesn't crack the explosives if I just pass, which I think is what I want. Because I'd rather them just not use the mana here. Did you use the mana? Let's play around Veil, I guess. I'm not gonna counter that. Alright, let's just cycle this now. No, I mean I do think that it is like Murktide gets so much better in Dimir Shadow, and I think that is something I want to return to. Like Dimir Shadow is like kind of interesting to me. Like, I think I should be playing Archmage's Charm over the Kaitos, sideboarding the Voidwalkers, and I was kind of thinking, like, what if we play 4 Consider, 4 Thought Scour, 4 Murktide, and, like, 3 Gurmag Anglers, just 7 Delve creatures? Like, is that possible with, like, 4 Consider, 4 Thought Scour? I kind of think so. And then you also get to play Stubborn Denial. So that might be something we do next. Yeah, or Cling to Dust. But I think that you're kind of threat light. So it's maybe like play 2 Angler, 4 Murktide, or maybe play like 1 Tassiger. Sorry, I can't suggest Tassiger with a straight face. Yeah, my opponent's hand is Gigantha Mystery Card. That Mystery Card's a removal spell for Street Wraith. It's not that big a deal. And if they can't kill the Street Wraith, they just die. So I think I'm casting it. How many Tomb Stalker? 8 probably. Yeah, we might play Snapcaster too. Just finish up this league and then we can do some work on that. All right. Swamp Walk broke. Sounds like the old Grixis deck, but not especially right for things like Bolt. Yeah, that'd be kind of the idea. And we are 3-1 this league. It's not like this build is doing horribly wrong. I feel like this version has not felt that strong, even though our record with it's not like truly terrible. How far am I in Elden Ring? I made like a lot of progress last night after being stuck for a few days. I just found a lot of big open areas I hadn't found before, and I killed some bosses, and I got my Claymore up to level 10. But I also found like a really cool glaive that I want to use instead, but like I don't have the upgrade materials for it. But maybe I'll get them at some point. Just don't think that Shadow in the same deck. I mean, it's possible. It's just maybe not good. Is it mental note just Thought Scour? It's also not modern legal. Oh, I see the question you're responding to, though. Dude, Grazer continues to ruin every day I ever have. We have a TBR with that Shadow at Murktide. Dress Down's going to be better almost every time. Or most of the time. But that won't stop chat from asking about it. All stream. Okay, they drew Castle Gambrick for turn. Their hand right now is just a Besage, right? That's actually one of our better hits. Buy low level Master House. Yeah, I got those. I got the ability to buy the low level ones, but it's also like I can only get it to like +6 or something. And like it, you know how it is. Like it's just not gonna compare with like my higher level weapon. We'll see. We'll see. I want to play that this turn, but I need to keep this dress down up. What made it so I know Stubborn Denial for the deck? I'm like Angler just comes down, or Murktide just comes down too late in this list for Stubborn Denial to be good. But we were talking about a build that maybe can utilize Stubborn Denial well. Was Lurrus necessary for the Thing in the Ice decks? Yeah, I mean, like, the main reason to play the Thing in the Ice dress down plan was that it was, like, a fine control wind condition that, like, had game in a lot of matchups and let you play Lurrus as a companion. And, like, yeah, losing Lurrus was a big problem there. I think I'll take 3 on purpose if they attack because of Shadow. Oh, sorry. I was not supposed to instep this. Now I can't play the Murktide. And now my Ragavan doesn't deal damage. That's a huge mistake. I think I will want to get this at least in the yard. Okay, now the other one too, I guess. Yeah, huge mistake. Like I'm just like killing them next turn if I and I get a Urza Saga trigger, or sorry, or Monkey trigger. Here, I think I'm gonna bolt a token. Yeah, the red-white Cracked Earth deck got worse. It was a deck I liked though, for whatever that's worth. Is White Miracle playable? Yeah, of course. If it's your pet deck, it's playable, huh? So another bolt is a win. It's not another bolt. So I'll just bolt the construct. Cast a Titan. Play the Dress Downs, 3 and 4, the Voidwalkers, the Ashioks, the Terminates, the Alpine Moon. Got a lot of sideboard cards for this matchup, huh? I've started to become a little disenfranchised with Ragavan in this matchup, to be honest. I think I'll trim 1, trim an Inquisition, trim a Street Wraith, trim an Iteration. I think that makes sense. Bolt for Grazer. And that's the thing. I've got Fatal Push still. They might not draw the Grazer. I might not draw Ragavan. Bolt is really bad outside of that. Played any Jeskai Phoenix in a while? I haven't. I may be at some point soon. I mean, I gotta play the Ragavan for mana, I think. I can push the Grazer. Obviously, if my opponent has a Dryad on turn 2, this is not that good. But my hand's pretty forced, I feel. Okay, so their hand is Primeval Titan, Vesuva, Castle Garenbrig, Cavern of Souls. So my opponent's going to be able to Titan next turn. I can Dress Down, though, but I do need to find something else. But I guess the Thoughtseize now just answers it. So we can Iteration first. Let's go hand to Murktide, bottom, Exile Swamp, and then we can Thoughtseize, then see if we want to cast Murktide or hold up Dress Down. I think With them being top decking, we'll just, you know, cast the Murktide. Put the pressure on. 2-turn clock. Is anybody surprised? Is anybody surprised that my opponent top decked a Titan? Blinky with the 4 months. Appreciate you. I'm not surprised. You're not surprised. Top decking Titan's just kind of a dead meme at this point, to be honest. Oh, this is a huge punt to attack. Oh, cool, we win. Yeah, I'm like pretty shocked that they attack. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I have the second Ragavan in hand, but like I could even just like not block, and then I've got lethal on the crackback. All right, 4-1 that league. Obviously didn't feel too bad. I do kind of feel like Murktide is not the way to go, but and specifically Grixis. Kind of early to say for sure though. Let's open these chests. But I find myself missing DRC a lot. And Kroxa kind of felt better than Murktide anyways. I do want to... let's return to... Let's mess with the Dimir list, though.